Hey, beautiful women. Good morning. Namaste. How are you? um, I just wanted to make this quick message for you to share about the positive, the negative, and the neutral mind. This is a teaching that I first acquired during my Kundalini yoga teacher training back in 2009. And then also when I went on to do a more advanced level 2 teacher training in mind and meditation within the lineage of Kundalini yoga. So it's a very simple concept, but it's really useful to have this in your mind, to be aware of it, because it really helps you to orientate yourself and become more aware of what you're doing with your energy, particularly what you're doing with your mind and your thoughts, because of course your thoughts create your reality, right? And why I've been inspired to make this live is because I've been spending even more time than usual with my dad lately. Some of you who know me will know this. My dad's almost 92. He's ailing in health and has recently gone into nursing care. And to cut a very long story short, it's been very challenging in many, many ways. And to cut a very long story short, everything that has been done for him and that is done for him is not right or not good enough. And this has been a trait of my father's. Like he is in pain, he is in a difficult situation, so of course when we're in that situation we have less tolerance, of course. However, this is how my dad's personality has been all his life, like always seeing the negative in every person and in every situation, right? And that's what I grew up with, and that's why I had so much wounding around not being good enough, because every time I achieved something, it wasn't like well done. It was, so why didn't you win the race, or why didn't you get an A+ instead of an A star, or it was like that kind of thing. So I grew up believing I wasn't good enough and having very, very low self-esteem and self-worth, even though the irony is I was so accomplished and gifted in so many things, wow. And I just didn't realize it because at home everything was criticized. So anyway, roundabout story, but seeing my dad in the situation that he's in now, where people around him are doing everything they can to help him, and the very first words that come out of his mouth every single time will be a criticism or a complaint, right? There's never a gratitude. So it's very, very evident for me to see that he lives in his negative mind. And that's a conditioning. And, it's just accentuated with age. And in a way, because he's in his, because he's in his negative mind, he creates negative scenarios for himself and for those around him. It's a very strong energy. It sort of creates and has created a life of loneliness and misery and suffering. So it's kind of like a self-perpetuating cycle. So that's the negative mind. The negative mind sees what's wrong with everything. It sees the problems in a situation. It criticizes, it judges, and it amplifies. So whatever you give the negative mind, it will amplify and expand it and make it into more than it is. So for example, you might have a problem or an issue, and it's a real problem or an issue, but the negative mind will expand it and make it seem like it's worse than it is. Negative mind. So then you have positive mind, and not surprisingly, I guess because of growing up in the household where the negative mind was very strong, personally I would say that the dominant mind for me has been the positive mind. Positive mind sees the good in everybody, sees the good in every situation, is very optimistic, has blind faith, and expects the best to happen and expects the best of other people. That can be actually equally problematic when we're only in the positive mind, we can be naive, we can be taken advantage of, we can allow our boundaries to be overstepped, because we don't have the capacity to actually see that sometimes people don't have good intentions. Sometimes people do want to rip us off. Unfortunately, that is life. And if we're only in the positive mind, we don't have a good sense of, or balanced sense of, the risk of a situation. So we could actually take very dangerous risks, or risks that will lead to consequences that we haven't thought through. So that's the downside of the positive mind, as it were. We actually need to have both. So having the negative mind, this is just a phrase, isn't something that's bad in itself. We need a negative mind to spot the errors, to spot the problems, to see what can be improved, right? So that's a good quality to have. But when that consumes us and our mind is just full of that, then that's what we're going to create in our life, in our world. We're going to attract more and more misery and negativity, right? Positivity needs the balance of the negative mind. Otherwise, again, it can lead us to take risks, to be taken advantage of, to undersell ourselves, and so on and so forth. So both have their place. The neutral mind, though, is the sort of the center point of equanimity, which sees the negative, which sees the positive, and is able, from an integrated, unified, coherent, grounded, and how will I say this, beyond the ego mind consciousness, is able to make choices and make decisions that come from an aligned with source place, where we go beyond the ego mind, because positive and negative mind are both expressions of the ego mind. And the ego mind, is a chattering, wittering influence on our behavior, on our emotions, on our actions, on our choices. The neutral mind is above and beyond that. And we can only access the neutral mind through practices of conscious awareness, such as meditation, such as embodied awareness. So anything that takes us out of identifying with the mind, identifying with our thoughts, going along with either the self-criticism, the other criticism, or the illusion, the fantasies, or the idealism also, of seeing everything as sunshine and roses, where actually there is darkness in the world and we need to see it and be aware of it, and there is darkness within ourselves and we need to see it too, right? So when we cultivate the neutral mind through practices of meditation, awareness, and connection with source, we begin to loosen ourselves from the hold of going between these polarities. Some people, bipolar, go from one extreme to the other. Some people are very stuck in their negative mind, victim consciousness. Oh, everything's terrible, poor me, it's just seeing the worst in everything and everyone and can't look beyond that. And the positive mind, like I've said, has its own downsides too. When we cultivate the neutral mind through these practices of meditation awareness, then we're much more able to navigate life in a flowing state of trust and coherence and congruence, to really understand the risks of a situation, to be wise, to be compassionate, to have a 360-degree perspective on issues, as well as a detached capacity to observe ourselves and see our own behaviors and patterns as they come and as they go, without taking it personally, or without taking other people's behavior personally, without thinking it's all about us, right? So that is the beauty of cultivating the neutral mind. So, I share this today because I'm looking at my dad. He's at the end of his life. He spent much of his adult life being stuck and trapped in his negative mind. And as he comes to the end of his life, he just is continuing to create more misery for himself and others. And I feel so sad about that. And as a teacher of meditation and conscious embodiment and awareness, I wish that he had the capacity to step out of that, or that he had earlier in his life began to meditate to be able to loosen himself from the hold of these thoughts, but yeah, that is my, I wish that could be, and I see that it's not what's going to be, and I accept that completely. But it's kind of like, like warning. What kind of life do you want to create? Like, what kind of future do you want to create? What kind of old age do you want to have? Where do you spend your time? Are you hanging out in your neutral mind? Are you hanging out in your positive mind? Are you hanging out in your neutral mind? Can you switch consciously between? Can you notice when you're stuck in one or the other? Can you pull back and observe and witness yourself compassionately, lovingly, patiently? Can you accept and allow all that you are and all that is? Can you detach yourself from the identification with your thoughts and your beliefs, right? What's going on in the world right now is immense and huge and fast-paced, and it's not going to let up. It's not going to let up. It's going to continue like this. Our buttons are being pushed from all angles and all directions. From my perspective, if you don't have the capacity to access your neutral mind, you're going to suffer. You're going to be blown about by the winds, like the gale force winds that are out there right now, blowing the bins about on the trees, right? The neutral mind must be cultivated if you want to be able to more consciously create your life. If you don't want to remain stuck in patterns that hold you in the belief that you are a victim, or that people are out to get you, or that everything is dark and terrible and the world is falling apart, right? It's up to you. It is a choice. But once you know it's a choice, then you can do something about it. And for me, like having walked this path for 20 years, gone through my own many times cycle through darkness, dark nights of the soul, low self-esteem, self-hatred, abusive relationships. I mean, God, I've been through it all. I can tell you, that it is a choice once you know it's a choice. And the two things that I would say are most supportive and will be most supportive to anyone who is on this path of awakening and wants to more consciously create their existence and the future for all of us. Because of course, please understand that you are not in isolation to the rest of the world and the cosmos and the universe and society and community. How you are, what you radiate, affects everyone and everything. The more you elevate your consciousness and embody awareness and light and love and truth and integrity and an integrated state of being, the more that affects the whole directly, right? So if you want the world to change, don't complain about it, change yourself. That's the only way. As you change yourself, as you elevate your consciousness, the world changes. Simple. So meditate. Meditate, 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 meditate. Find a way that works for you to cultivate deeper levels of stillness within your being, deeper levels of connection to source consciousness within your own being, ways to cultivate witnessing capacity so that you begin to detach from believing that you are your thoughts, you are your emotions, you are your sensations. If you're trapped in that sorry, I got to just cough. If you're trapped in that identification, it's a very suffering existence. Awakening basically is about liberation. It's about liberating yourself from that identification and returning to the recognition that you are source consciousness. That's what spiritual awakening is about, the liberation of the soul. For some reason, my voice is going really croaky. Hang on a sec, I'm gonna have a drink of water. It's about being free. It's about being free while you're still alive in the body, in the material 3D world. It's about liberating yourself now rather than waiting till you die to be free of those attachments, right? That's what it's about. So meditate. And number 2, gratitude. Meditate, gratitude, meditate, gratitude. So an attitude of gratitude completely shifts the reality that you perceive. I know without a shadow of a doubt that it's simply your perspective that creates your reality. 2 people, 3 people, 5 people can be observing the very same thing or having the very same experience. And one person will be, oh my fucking God, how could they do this to me? Another person can be, oh, I'm so grateful for the lesson life has given me. Now I know this about myself, right? It is entirely, the perspective changes everything. And gratitude cultivates an open heart, cultivates a state of abundance, attracts more goodness to your life, and spreads a feeling of goodwill and well-being to the whole. So meditation and gratitude. My dad is in a home right now that costs £2,000 a week. He has nursing care around him where people are sincerely concerned for his well-being and doing their utmost to support him. And still, all he sees is the problems, right? How different an experience it could be for him, for me, for my sister, for the care staff, if he had the capacity to feel grateful for what he's receiving, to feel grateful what's being given to him, to feel grateful for the care. And then it ripples out, right? Negative mind, positive mind, neutral mind. Meditation, gratitude. Remember these. These are essential basics that we all need now to grow stronger and stronger and to create the new earth that we are here for. If you're in this group, that's what you're here for, right? And yes, if you need help with this, if you want guidance on this, I've been meditating for 20 years and, I'm trained as a teacher of meditation as part of my Kundalini Yoga teacher training. I've trained in transcendental meditation. I now do other forms of deep meditation. And of course, what people might not realize is that Tantra, I'm here to bring Tantra to life, is a meditative practice. It's about meditating yourself awake through the body, through life. So yes, it's about being fully in the body and all your sensorial awareness, all your senses, and the blend of that, the meeting and merger of that with no mind, with stillness, with Shiva consciousness. That is the equal and opposite part to the full sensual embodiment. That's what Tantra is, the unification of those polarities. So we need both equally. We need to be fully in the body, sensing, touching, tasting, feeling, and we need the stillness and presence of the calm mind that can only be achieved through ongoing practice. So I've got online courses, I've got an ongoing monthly group for tantric practice, and if you would like one-to-one tuition, I can offer that too. But however you find it, wherever you go for it, dedicate yourself daily to your spiritual practice, to your meditation, and to your gratitude, and watch how your life and your experience changes. Namaste. Lots of love.